So one of the things that I've really come to love and enjoy as a finance leader is automation. But let me say something that might surprise my fellow nonprofit finance leaders. Automation does not fix your reporting problems. Sorry to burst your bubble. So it will only end up exposing them. And I've seen organizations invest in new ERP systems, grant management tools, dashboards, AI powered reporting software, and yet 3 months later, leadership is still asking, why don't these numbers reconcile? Or why a donor reports inconsistent? Or why does finance say one thing and programs or even the dev say another? And that uncomfortable truth is this: technology doesn't solve broken thinking, and people should learn to appreciate this. It actually accelerates it. So, today I want to talk about why automation alone doesn't fix reporting problem and what actually does. There's a very common belief in growing nonprofits that if we just get the right system, everything will be clean. And I understand that belief. I actually probably may have believed it myself. So, when you are struggling with manual spreadsheets, late field submissions, inconsistent coding, reporting delays across multiple countries, you see, automation feels like you are rescue. But the issue is automation scales whatever already exists. So if your chart of accounts is poorly structured, automation will scale confusion. If your cost allocation logic is inconsistent, automation will scale misstatement. If your teams don't understand reporting intent, automation will scale misalignment. Technology does not create clarity per se in itself. Clarity must actually exist before technology is introduced. And this is where many organizations reverse the order. So if automation isn't the fix, what actually breaks underneath? What is the underneath reporting problem? So let's attempt to go deeper. In my experience working across local and global nonprofit environments, reporting issues are rarely technical. They are very, very structural, if you ask me. Here is what I mean. Most reporting breakdowns come from one of these: unclear delegation of authority, weak financial ownership at country level, poorly defined data accountability, and maybe the fourth one is misalignment between program design and financial coding. So let me make this real. If program teams don't understand how their budgets map to donor restrictions, no software will actually fix that. If finance teams don't agree on cost classification principles across countries, no dashboard will fix that. If leadership tolerates approximate reporting culture, automation will simply deliver faster approximations. Yeah, but so reporting is actually a governance outcome, not a software outcome. Now, here is where this becomes even more dangerous, especially for organizations scaling across borders. In multi-country operations, automation often becomes a centralization tool. That's most of the time the intention. So head office wants visibility, so they implement a unified system. That's given. But here's the question most organizations actually fail to ask: do we have a clear control philosophy? Because standardization without alignment creates silent resistance. If country teams don't understand why control exists, they will bypass them. That one I can tell you for free. If processes are imposed without capacity building, reporting becomes more mechanical and not actually meaningful. And when reporting becomes mechanical, people stop thinking critically. Automation, therefore, should support financial judgment and should never replace it. But that only works when these four things are looked into. So first of all, control frameworks are documented, roles are clearly defined, risk appetite is understood, local teams are trained to interpret numbers and not just to upload them. Otherwise, what you get is beautifully formatted reports built on weak foundations because nobody really understands them. And that is financial fragility dressed up in sophistication, unfortunately. So what actually fixes reporting problems? So let's now talk about the real work. There are four fundamental elements that I can say must exist before automation adds value. Number one is structural clarity. Your chart of accounts must reflect how the organization actually operates, not how the software vendor suggests it should be. And this is a catch that many people fail to see. And it's your biggest foundation to how your financial reporting will structure. So your project structure must align with donor agreements and not for internal convenience. So these are very foundational things that must be clear at the beginning, even without the automation. Even before thinking about automation, you must carefully think about this. And people may think that these are just like basic things that are obvious. But let me tell you, it's not. The chart of accounts is your biggest engine to your reporting clarity. Number two is that you must define accountability before even thinking of automation. Who owns financial accuracy at country level, for example? Who signs off before submission? Who reviews variance explanations? So like if everyone owns reporting, no one owns reporting, that one we know. And you get to experience this because you find that people are always running to everyone for reports, and somebody can easily go into the system and pull something, and that thing is not reviewed, and you find that data has been shared out, and now you have to spend time doing firefighting and cleaning up. So we must always be very clear in who owns the data at what level. And because automation cannot replace ownership. It really doesn't. It just follows the script that you've given it. The third thing is that there must be standardized interpretation. So what you want to ask yourself at this point is that what constitutes a material variance? When to escalate it? How to explain, for example, donor underspend or overspend, because reporting is not data entry. It is financial storytelling backed by controls. Then the fourth one is the leadership discipline. This is the hardest one. So if leadership does not challenge inconsistencies, if boards do not ask intelligent financial questions, and if the CFO accepts recurring reconciliation gaps, automation will simply make the gaps visible faster, because we know technology, what they do is that technology amplifies your culture. It doesn't transform it. So let me close by saying this. Automation is a multiplier. If your systems are disciplined, it multiplies efficiency. If your structures are weak, it actually multiplies risk. So before investing in new tools, non-profit leaders should ask, do we understand why our reporting breaks down? Have we clarified roles, controls, and our philosophy around that? And are we solving a governance issue or buying software to fill the progress? Because funders don't fund dashboards, they fund credibility. And credibility is built on structure, accountability, and disciplined leadership, not automation alone. So if this resonates with you, especially if you're scaling across countries or preparing for major funder scrutiny, then I believe this conversation is not about just technology. It's about financial maturity. And that's where real transformation begins. Thank you for watching and see you in the next.